Now, as you know, the protest was at least 90 to 100,000 people, perhaps more, across the Sydney Harbour Bridge, and we all know the situation in and around that. But there is one little thing that I do get frustrated with people who, again, seek to be our moral betters, who aren't willing to call BS or come on when people who are not part of the core belief of the people who are marching for whatever the cause is do something that is clearly over the line and pisses off the majority of Australians. For example, a flag being burnt in Melbourne. Well, one of the protest organisers there has a pretty easy and obvious opportunity to say, no, not on our watch, not okay, but they say this.
Would you condemn the burning of the Australian flag?
Tom, I condemn Israel for continuing to perpetuate...
Will you condemn the burning of the Australian flag?
It's a flag, it's a piece of silk. I don't think anybody should be doing it, but I'm not condemning anybody. If I'm going to be condemning anybody, it's in the inaction of our government and the continued genocide happening in Palestine.
Again, have your view about what's happening in the Middle East, have the strongest view possible about what is happening in the name of the events of October the 7th. But the idea that you can't just come out strongly, clearly, absolutely, and say, no, seriously, anyone who does that, please don't come to our marches. Why? Because it just distracts from the greater point that they're trying to make. But because part of the game is, of course, trying to pretend that it is establishment media like a 3AW that's trying to wrong-foot you, then we play this game. You've seen it a trillion times. Well, I want to talk about one of the organisers of the Sydney rally who was on the radio today. His name is Josh Lees. Josh Lees is one of the organisers. He was on the radio today with Michael McLaren on 2GB. And I've got to say, well done to Michael, because there's a particular skill in being a broadcaster about not just asking the same question 100 times over, everyone gets louder and YouTube clips go through the roof, but no, actually calmly and relentlessly asking a question, a pretty simple question that should have a pretty simple answer. It doesn't wash down the central argument or reason as to why you wish to protest, but it shows that you are willing to draw a line somewhere in the actions that are apparently in advocacy of what you believe in.
One man's terrorist is another man's freedom fighter. So I'm interested to know if you view Hamas as a terrorist organisation or a group of freedom fighters.
Well, look, I mean, I don't particularly want this story to be about me. It's about trying to stop this great crime that's going on in Gaza today.
Yeah, but you can still answer that question. Pretty straightforward question.
Well, I thought that's straightforward because you have to understand the context of what has taken place in Palestine, not just over the last 2 years, but over the previous 75 years.
Well, I understand the context, but you can still answer the question.
Yeah, well, what we've said is that actually what's happening in Gaza is not about Hamas, so that's why it's kind of a distraction to just focus on them.
No, I get it. Josh and his mates will walk away going, yeah, nailed it, that dude on 2GB and all of those lists. But again, if you want to get more people to your cause, whatever your cause happens to be, then at certain moments in time, you have to say that there are outer limits to the things that you're willing to support or not. It's not that hard to turn around and talk about the failures of Hamas, right? That doesn't let Israel off the hook. But also it means that you view this from the perspective that is the peace and tranquility of this country. It continued.
Is Israel a democratic state or a terrorist state?
Well, I don't think it's a democratic state because it's a state which is built on the exclusion of the mass of the population that live in Palestine.
Okay, so we've got a bit of an answer. So let's try the other one then. They're on the other side of the border, to the west, Gaza,
yes,
governed by Hamas. Are they a terrorist organisation or a group of freedom fighters? Not a hard question.
You can't equate the two sides. You can't equate the two sides because...
I'm not, and I'm not asking you to equate. I'm asking you two separate questions.
Well done, Michael. Not enough people get called out for being good broadcasters. That is a perfect example of great broadcasting. You can hear them after midday on 2GB, on air in Sydney or around the world via their website.